Throughout the 1970s and 80s, the Irish-American enclave of South Boston was the undisputed territory of the Winter Hill Gang. James Whitey Bulger ran the local rackets, overseeing extortion and illegal gambling with absolute control. Yet local police raids consistently hit empty rooms, and federal wiretaps routinely went dead just before a crucial conversation. He consistently stayed one step ahead of the law because of a highly classified file deep in federal records. Bulger was a top echelon informant, the highest value, most heavily guarded intelligence asset designation the FBI can assign. He eluded capture because the very agency tasked with dismantling organized crime was actively shielding him from local prosecution. At the time, the Bureau had an overriding focus in New England, dismantling the powerful Italian mafia, specifically the Patriarca family. FBI Special Agent John Connolly was assigned to the Boston field office with a clear mandate to bring down the mob by any means necessary. Connolly and Bulger struck a mutually beneficial arrangement. Bulger would feed the Bureau actionable intelligence on his Italian rivals. In exchange, the FBI would look the other way regarding Winter Hill operations. This arrangement was officially documented in federal files. Supervisors signed off on it as a pragmatic, standard law enforcement tactic to pit two rival syndicates against one another. By authorizing this protection, the FBI deliberately carved out a legal vacuum in South Boston, giving a violent criminal enterprise room to expand without federal interference. Initially, the tactical alliance yielded results. Connolly weaponized Bulger's tips to map out the Patriarca network and execute targeted arrests. Every successful mafia indictment generated headlines, earning Connolly internal commendations and rapidly accelerating his rise within the Bureau. But the intelligence required payment. Bulger expected his handler to actively defend the Winter Hill Gang from competing law enforcement agencies. Connolly complied. When Massachusetts State Police or local detectives built cases against Bulger, Connolly routinely intervened, arguing that his assets' value to the federal government superseded local warrants. The Boston field office ignored mounting evidence of Bulger's murders, extortion, and drug trafficking. They actively dismissed complaints from the DEA and local authorities to keep their prized source on the street. The Bureau succeeded in crippling the Patriarca family, but their deliberate interference allowed the Winter Hill Gang to safely absorb the newly vacated criminal territory. In standard intelligence operations, authority flows downward. The handler dictates the rules of engagement, and the informant complies. But Connolly's professional reputation was entirely tied to Bulger's cooperation. If the intelligence stubbed, Connolly's career stalled. This dependency gave the asset immense leverage over the agent. This dynamic compromised the broader Boston field office. Agents who questioned the arrangement were sidelined, while those who protected the informant were promoted. Bulger operated his enterprise with absolute impunity, effectively treating the federal agency as his own private security detail. The roles had flipped. Special Agent Connolly was no longer running an informant. James Bulger was managing a federal agent. By December 1994, a separate task force from the DEA and state police quietly built a massive RICO indictment against the Winter Hill Gang. They purposely cut the Boston FBI out of the loop. Because Connolly and his supervisors were kept in the dark, they could not block the subpoenas or derail the surveillance teams. The localized shield had finally failed. As external federal prosecutors prepared to dispatch arrest teams, Connolly faced an immediate choice: let his asset face justice or intervene one last time. Connolly reached out to Bulger and warned him that the raid was imminent, giving him a head start to flee. The handler actively conspired against the United States government to help a murderer escape, proving that the FBI's control over the situation was entirely an illusion. Acting on Connolly's intelligence, Bulger slipped out of Boston before the warrants could be executed. The subsequent investigation into his escape tore open the Boston field office, exposing the depth of the compromised operation to the public and leading to Connolly's own criminal conviction. This is the FBI's 10 Most Wanted poster for James Bulger. The man they had paid and protected for decades was now a fugitive wanted for racketeering and 18 counts of murder. In their singular drive to eradicate the Italian mafia, the FBI nurtured a brutal crime syndicate and spent the next 16 years trying to track down its leader.